You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
The wheel is turning and you can't slow down. You can't let go and you can't hold on. You can't go back.
Hello and welcome back into my wheelhouse. Today is May 5th?
Sixth.
It's not Cinco de Mayo
May the
anymore.
6th be with you.
Very sad, very sad. Joining us as usual, Sloan and Uncle Mike. How we doing, guys? Back for a second appearance, my good friend Jeremy Chayton. How you doing, Jeremy?
Welcome back.
Living the dream. Happy to be here.
Absolutely beautiful. We got a lot of playoff basketball to touch on.
Your time of year.
That's right. I'm loving the competitiveness.
I'm buying into
that's
it for the
going
first
on.
time too. You know, like how you always talk about, it's not the college game, it's the pro game. These pro games are just, they're great right now.
Yes, the
We got 4
malaise,
good series
whatever
going on all at
malaise
once.
that existed in the first round is completely evaporated. We got excitement across the board for any aspect of the bracket. You got
Very entertaining.
You got to chump before we spin the wheel.
I'm sorry, the Doris dribble is getting me again. It just,
Doris Burke is your
I know,
chump.
Once she got into that, there was a 5 overtime
She
game.
stayed up until like 6 a.m. for that game.
I watched it. Well, she got tired, so she got better as she got tired. She couldn't talk anymore. But what's this one? C.J. McCollum's drive into the hoop, right?
Yes.
It's clear lane to the hoop. He goes in, and he lays the ball up and puts it in.
Yes.
And Doris goes, excellent use of the left hand.
Yeah.
Come on!
That's your criticism? That's not chump worthy.
It's chump worthy. What
do
do
you
I
mean?
get? That's what she does all
He
the
can
time.
use both hands.
She's trying to make
She's
left hand layup sound like excellent. What's he supposed to do? Shoot it with his foot? He's
No.
driving left hand to the hoop.
I mean,
he
a
lays
lot-
it in with his left
there's
hand.
plenty of
There's
people-
nobody there, and she goes, excellent use of the left hand.
There's plenty of people that would have
Come
shot with their right
on.
hand. Doris is great.
It's a lot better than when Chris Webber, instead of saying ambidextrous, he said he's amphibious.
Yes. You're comparing Doris to the other commentators. She's
wobbling
far
there.
and above beyond. All right.
She's good.
Philadelphia and Toronto. This series just got tied up. It's 2-2 going back to Toronto. I believe their game is going to be tomorrow, if not on Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure. We've had 2 blowouts and 2 close games. Obviously, Kawhi is the story of the series and maybe of the playoffs overall. Between him and Durant, those 2 guys have been the best players of the playoffs. He's been absolutely phenomenal, averaging near 60, 50, 90 basically shooting splits. With in this series alone, he's averaging close to 40 points a game. Those stats are unrivaled in terms of anyone in NBA history. What are you seeing from Philadelphia in recent games? Because obviously we were pretty high on Toronto out of the gate. Starting off, we thought they were going to be able to close it out. You said maybe even 5 games. I was sticking with 6. Now it's looking like, as most of these series are, like it could push 7. Are you becoming more and more confident in Philadelphia the more that you watch, or do you think that it's going to end up balancing out at the end of the day?
Which Joel Embiid are you going to get?
Right.
You know, you've got 2 best player in the league performances, and then you got, before the game starts yesterday, and the sideline reporter goes, well, Joel just headed to the locker room. When he came out, he's looking awful tired. And then you hear he didn't sleep the night before, and then he plays like that. And I mean, for a top 5 player in the league, I was really disappointed in that performance yesterday. And I don't know. I could see if it was his knee. He didn't say it was his knee. He didn't say
He was sick.
It was a stomach illness.
Well,
he
yeah.
texted his coach in the morning and said, I might not be able to play.
Yeah, 9
and then
hours
he had an
before.
IV brought in. He actually
Anyways,
called it himself that he needed an IV.
That's 2
It's
games
amazing
in the
that he
series
played.
that
but-
he
love the
hasn't
IV
played
call.
well. So
Yeah.
at this point, what
Wish we could do that.
And I would say I got to give Toronto an award. They should have a category now. Best use of load management. The best use of load management is Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi is ready to roll. I mean, Embiid, it wasn't really load management. It was a lot of injuries and stuff with that there. But I'm worried that Philadelphia's not going to get the real Embiid going down on that. And I think that's the kiss of death for them, don't you?
He almost actually hurts them when he's playing and he's not himself, because they do rely on him. Like, his usage rate is still there. And I think Simmons has been unspectacular too. I think they've locked him down. So when you have such a high usage rate between Embiid and Simmons, and they're both not delivering the way Philly's expecting them to, and then you got Pascal Siakam chasing around JJ Redick, and Redick just spaces the floor for them so well. So when Toronto is able to just exude their will on them defensively because they don't have any options, I still trust Toronto a lot more, even though Toronto isn't as deep as they seem to be in the regular
On the
season.
plus side for Philly, I'm seeing that Jimmy Butler really fits this team, and that I think it's a real good match for him. I think it is. I think he's playing really well, and he's finding his space out there. And the opposite of that, I don't think Harris is. I think Harris is like a third wheel on that team and doesn't necessarily fit on that team. But I like how Butler's playing.
That might more so be, we hear Draymond Green say, you're an 82-game player, a 16-game player. I think it's clear which of what those two delineations are between Jimmy being the 16, and I think Tobias might be a little bit more of the 82. What are you seeing from Philly that makes you?
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler is stepping up everywhere where Ben Simmons is not showing. That's definitely the clearest thing. He's scoring all the buckets. Obviously, Ben Simmons, not your shooter, but he's still playing good defense. Lowry seems easy to shut down in the playoffs anyways, but we're sticking true to that. He's having one of his worst playoff seasons, if you could believe it. And I'd say one thing I noticed last night to kind of hack Kawhi, if it's even possible, he had 7 turnovers last night.
Yeah.
And they kind of had him playing point guard for most of the game. Every time they brought off the ball, like Lowry just handed it right off to him. You run the game, it's your show. I'm sucking these playoffs.
And I think that's a real problem with Toronto is that it's got to be so much of a one-man show. And in all respects here, I mean, Kawhi's got to do it almost virtually by himself right now. Siakam, that's an interesting story to me. Do you think that was a Grayson Allen that he did with on Embiid?
Well, it was clearly intentional. He was frustrated,
Yeah.
and he did get fouled. He got slapped on the wrist.
Now,
and
did
on the
Siakam, you
block
think,
attempt.
respond negatively to that, and that he's got a mental problem right now with how he's playing because he played so poorly last game? And I know they're
I
saying
think
it was
he was
his
hurt.
hip or
Are you
something.
talking about the leg
I know, but
kick?
I'm not seeing his run. But when he tripped Embiid.
Yeah, I feel like they were cool about it. They like
No,
kinda-
they're friends.
Yeah, okay. I'm not seeing his run show anything
Well,
wrong with him
just
physically.
in that
But
game, he
only
had a
took
hurt
couple
calf.
shots.
He almost
A hurt
didn't.
calf,
Yeah,
but he
in
ran okay.
In that game, he almost didn't play. He clearly wasn't 100% healthy, and when he's not showing up, we're going to be getting to see more and more of the Toronto Raptors non-showing
Which
up
is
in
the
the
problem.
playoffs that we're familiar with. We were expecting this team to be different. The main cogs that they had coming into this postseason were so different from historically what they really ailed them in the past. But if not for Kawhi, I think that this series could have been over already, obviously. I mean, he is a one-man show, and it is good enough because he is being all-time great levels right now. But Lowry is being a complete negative and a pariah on the court. Gasol, besides the game one where he played a great defensive game in Embiid, he's been really poor, and he's really
decent game.
I think Gasol had a good game yesterday.
But you can tell he's scared to shoot, and when the offense whittles down and he's the option that is being depended on, he can't really handle that load really confidently. And then you keep going down. And just like you said, formerly we were thinking this Toronto team to be one of the deeper and strongest teams just in terms of how their rotation was going to work
It's not
out
looking
come
that way.
playoffs. Absolutely not. Fred VanVleet
look at
has
Fred
what?
VanVleet.
What does he have?
He
1
played
point?
six-
Was
he
he have
played
1
6 or
point?
7 minutes.
Was he have 1 point in 4 games?
He was the best, most improved player last year, right?
No, he wasn't most improved, but he was.
Or
but
he was in the
he was in
conversation.
contention. He was
He
in
did the
contention.
job.
Now he might be the
He's not
least
playing.
improved player
Right,
this
no,
year.
he's terrible. He's playing awful.
Yeah,
They
he
can't
played
play him.
virtually no minutes.
This is why
They played McCaw.
No,
They played
this is-
Patrick McCaw. They brought off the
Fred VanVleet's
bench.
play is why Kawhi is playing point guard. He's shown that he has improved his knack for passing the ball. Obviously, he's still not a creator, but he's had to do that. He's had to step up those aspects of his game that are otherwise pitfalls, but because of Fred VanVleet being terrible. And then besides Game 4, Ibaka has been a complete no-show. He played good in that last game, and especially defensively. But
he was
they
the
have no
only-
answers outside of Kawhi.
Ibaka was the only one that scored that had come off the bench.
Yeah, no,
That's
they played
insane.
terrible.
It's crazy.
Both
I would
these
never
teams,
guess that
both these
actually
That's what I'm
teams-
saying. We're
There's-
talking,
and they
this
won.
is a toss-up.
No,
here.
Nobody's consistent.
Exactly. There's a lot less there than
Yeah.
we're expecting from both of them. And initially we were saying it's going to be the top-heavy Philadelphia 76ers who depend on a very dominant and strong starting five with no bench against the deep Toronto Raptors that depend on one star. And what ends up happening is it's just whose star shows up. And with Joe Embiid, it's about his health. Ben Simmons has played great defense against Kawhi, despite Kawhi getting his. Otherwise, as we've discussed, he's not showing up offensively. He's playing a lot off ball because Jimmy Butler is being the de facto play initiator more often than not, who stepped up great. He's shooting the ball well. He's averaging, I think, 23, 9, and 6 in the series, and he's been great, an obvious 16-game player. But when you have to depend on Jimmy in that way, I think that's a cry of
Yeah.
the wrong type of things that you want to be getting from your team.
Does that tell you anything for the future on that team? I'm thinking that.
I'm thinking they're bringing them both back.
Simmons is eventually going to have to. I think he's a power forward. I think he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to play the 4. and he's going to have to be a,
But you
a,
need
you know,
him to
a
be
point
the-
forward.
he has to
Look
be
at-
the
you
primary
bring in-
ball handler,
But you
though.
bring in
Gotta figure out how to
Bring in
shoot.
Kemba Walker and put Kemba Walker there and move him because he rebounds so well and he still passes so well and he'll score on the post. He'll score the same amount of points when he's playing at the 4.
But he
Instead, they
plays.
distort the team by taking him off the point, and then they're playing.
I think
different
part of the
amount
reason why he
points.
scored so much last year is because he was such a matchup issue. And I think if he is a power forward, he's not going to have as much impact because it's not a much of
6'10",
it's not as much of a dilemma. I think it needs to be more of like a Draymond Green. Like, so what you're saying, like a point forward style.
Something
'cause
like
he needs
that.
to
because
create
I
more.
think they're going to have to deal with that eventually. That they can't have him be the all-star point guard and then say, "Oh, never mind, get to the corner now. We can't
No,
really
I mean,
do that with this team."
Draymond Green's like a significantly better shooter from outside.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
he
But
just does
another
it.
thing with Simmons is,
30%.
I mean, does everybody see this? When this freaking guy, I'll do it right-handed, but when this freaking guy shoots, he's like this.
Oh, his form is terrible.
Yeah.
But
So
how
it's-
can that? Why aren't they correcting that?
I don't know. It's not.
Why
it's not
don't
an
they? I
emphasis.
mean, you watch
It's
everybody
not
else
an
shoot,
emphasis.
their elbows here. He's a horrible shooter. and
It's
his elbows
obviously
out.
not an emphasis of his training to this point. He's still 22 years
but-
old. He could figure his shot out. It's doubtful, but I think what we're seeing up to this point, Philadelphia being a successful team, was in spite of their best two players in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid not meshing perfectly in terms of their play styles. They're both obviously all-star, potential superstar talents,
Yep.
but that they don't work perfectly together. And with bringing in these other pieces, that some work better than others with Simmons, some work better than others with
Yep.
Embiid. JJ Redick works best with both, but we're seeing Harris. He's struggling immensely with his ability to put the ball in the hoop. I can't tell whether that's a pitfall of Ben Simmons. I can't tell
Shots.
because it's an abrasiveness of him not having a high enough usage to getting his flow going in the
He's
game.
just not a clutch
He's
player.
a third wheel.
He is. So I don't know what the solution is for this Philly team if they do bow out in 7 games, because I do see the series
The
going
solution
7
is
games.
that Toronto's got problems. So because Toronto's got problems with what they got, they can still win.
No, but I think Toronto is far less concerned about their future than Philadelphia should be, because I think that Toronto's expectations are far more realistic. They understand that going into this trade that they have, looking back, what a wondrous trade for them. Even if Kawhi leaves, who cares? That they're going to enter a rebuild where Siakam's going to be their strongest player, where they'll probably look for trade offers where they should have looked last season, but they'll look for trade offers for Lowry, and they'll
No,
just
the Knicks
start.
will take him.
Yeah, they'll start over with Anunoby and Fred VanVleet, and they'll get in the lottery, and they'll work on having Nurse, who shows that he has a little bit more coaching chops than I expected him to have or saw from him throughout the regular season. So I think that they're okay with their destiny at the worst case. Best case is they tough it out, they make it to the finals, and Kawhi comes back, and then they're a perennial contender. That could still happen. It's just that with Philadelphia, they're really pigeonholed. No matter whether they win or they lose, they're probably going to be maxing out both Tobias and Jimmy Butler. I think that they're going to send offers to both those guys. That means they're
I
going
don't
to be.
think they'll do both of them.
I think they will, because I think that they've invested too much in terms of their resources that they had. They had such a stockpile of really valuable assets that they exchanged Shamet and several first-round picks that were going to be a gold mine in the future if they held on to him, for Tobias, who's shown sometimes he can be effective, but more often than not, he's not taking them to the
If
next
they
level.
don't keep both, who do you think's going to go? Or who's
Well,
who are
I
they
mean,
going to keep?
Sign a different player
I mean,
instead of Tobias.
before the playoffs, I would say that Tobias fits better in terms of play styles with Ben Simmons and
Right.
Embiid. But now that you're watching in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler is
Butler's
essential
in the
for them,
playoffs.
because if they falter, Jimmy Butler digs them out of that hole. Because of that, I think both of those things have value. They're going to bring it back. They're going to be stuck with their main 5, and they better hope that vets that are coming off of a larger contract that are 33 years old are willing to come and play in Philly for a chance for a championship.
Philly,
for cheap.
Philly, I think another thing worth mentioning, and I don't know whether you agree or don't agree, but I don't think there's a better clutch, pure shooter in that league than J.J. Redick.
Oh, he's been great.
He's
He's been awesome.
Off the run, he just runs up
pressure,
and
when he's
jumps
running
from
to the
the
corner
three-point
and he's
line.
shooting as
Oh
he's
my
running out of bounds, and it's
Doesn't
dead
even look like he has
center.
enough time to look at the rim when he
What
launches
a
sometimes.
beautiful clutch,
So
pure
uh,
shooter.
He's incredible.
tomorrow,
Nice to have that on your team.
Game 5. Who do you have in Game 5, and who do you have closing out the series?
To me, I mean, as we do this every week, I was telling Jeremy, to me, I'm just waffling back and forth. I'm going to go with I really want Toronto to win, so I'm going with Toronto, and I think it's the Embiid factor is going to play. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'll say Toronto at home, and that Toronto will win in 7 at home.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that's what happens. I mean,
That's the
beginning
easy out, though.
beginning
That's
of the
the
series,
easy-
I was Raptors in
easy
6,
out.
but now I'm Raptors in 7 because the Sixers showed up more
Pretty
than I was expecting.
unexciting because I
No, it
agree
is.
with you, but this just,
But we're seeing
it just
across
seems
the
like it's
league
going to
that
go back
really
and forth.
the home
back and
court
forth.
advantage is not what we were thinking it
No,
was
it doesn't
going to
matter
be.
that
So
much.
You know, everybody's winning on the.
Yeah, I
on the
agree.
road.
Choice for
Toronto's
Victor.
Yeah, I'm consistent with the Wheelhouse panel here.
Yeah.
You obviously have to take the Raptors in 7. Embiid, the only reason it's going to 7 is because you can expect Embiid to drop another 30-burger.
Yeah.
Or
He'll
did
show
he
up.
even get 30?
Block 5 shots.
No, he
I'm
did, yeah,
like,
33.
Get
Right.
17 rebounds and 6
Yeah,
assists.
he-
Right, he's
One
going
of
to
these
have
3
another
games-
dominant game,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
one more dud, it's just not going to be enough. And I did want to say about the Raptors, Gasol, when he played for the Grizzlies, he was their only option in the playoffs. It was like pass to Gasol, hope this guy gets you all your buckets. So at the same time, let me see some of that. Hop
Yeah, he had
up,
16
shoot
last
more.
game. Yeah, 16. They got to find something to
wanna
bounce
see him
back.
get
There's
some,
been a
like,
lot
up
of
to 20
nothing from the
numbers.
non-Kawhi Raptors.
mean, he
and
was-
if they show up at all, I think that bodes well for
He
them.
was hitting wide open threes. I mean,
Yeah.
when they get spacing
There
and he
we
doesn't
go.
catch and shoot.
There
It's
you
a
go.
good series. So,
Going gentle. All right,
Very
Boston
gentle.
Celtics
There we
versus
wanna
the
go.
Milwaukee Bucks. Tonight we have Game 4. Bucks lead the series 2-1 after the tightest game, not the tightest game, yeah, tightest game in the series. The first 2 games being blowouts back and forth. The Bucks earned back their home court
It was still
advantage
decisive,
with
but
a.
it
It was
wasn't really-
decisive with a 7-point victory. We've seen Giannis really familiarize himself with the Boston defense overall. He had 28 and 10 in Game 3. Middleton continues to be Albert Einstein of shooting a basketball. I think he's shooting close,
63%.
close to 70%.
in his career
from three.
against the Celtics, he's 63% from the 3.
No, he plays
10 games,
So-
10 games, 63% from the 3.
Sloan harps on me that I am way too low on Middleton, but I feel like it doesn't get mentioned enough that he is not this player against the other 29 teams. Like, this is his best. This is him at his
He's
best.
an all-star.
And
He's
it's not close.
He's had a really,
He'd
really
be in
good
the Hall of
season.
Fame if he was like this.
That's
for
what I'm
the rest of the
saying.
league.
Like him against
Obviously.
the Celtics he's crazy. He's a top 15 player in the
He
NBA against the
consistently
Celtics.
steps up in the playoffs, and he's had a really, really
He
good
consistently
year.
steps up in the playoffs because he's playing the Celtics in the playoffs.
Not
Wait,
just
he
the
didn't play that great against the Detroit Pistons. Whatever.
definitely helps his side.
Kyrie has been up and down. He got to the free throw line a lot in Game 3, which was promising. Morris has been shooting the ball great. There's been less moments where I've been frustrated with him in the past 2 games, even though the blowout. It looks like Marcus Smart could surprisingly make a return tonight.
I hope so.
If not tonight, I would say definitely for Game
He's gone
5.
from doubtful to questionable.
We're hearing that Budenholzer is holding out players longer than expected. He did it with Snell at the end of the season. All signs are pointing to Brogdon being pretty healthy. He's playing 5-5 in practice. So I think if Smart plays, I wouldn't be surprised if Brogdon plays.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. He's already out for tonight, but I bet you Brogdon's back for Game 5. So both teams will be at full health. Going into tonight, we got essentially a must-win at home for the Boston Celtics. We'll see if they can emphasize Eric Bledsoe being the offensive hub that the Celtics want to be distributing and making decisions for the Milwaukee Bucks, and less of George Hill and Pat Connaughton. But
Boy, you were wrong on Pat.
he played great. I
did.
mean, that hometown boost, you know,
a
he
great
loved,
story.
he
I
loved
mean,
Mass
playing.
native just coming
Used
out and
to
beating his home
sneak into
team.
the garden to see games. All
No,
that
he was
stuff.
dapping up his family who were sitting second row. It was very interesting.
I mean, I
but-
think we talked
playing some
about,
serious
like,
minutes.
if he's going to get shots, you live with him taking shots
you
last
do.
week.
I said that.
And
I stand by that.
I think we unanimously agreed with that. Yeah, let him take
He's
as
a good
many
shooter.
shots
He's
as
a
he
real good
wants.
shooter at Notre Dame.
I don't think we expected him to hit as many open shots.
I was
as he
surprised he
did.
got a 43-inch vertical.
That's a farce.
Well, that's what they say.
They messed up the
He
measurements.
gets up.
They messed up his wingspan measurement, so it didn't match his wingspan measurement. It's
Well-
not 43. It was like 37.
Okay.
We had a- we
He
had
still
a-
gets up.
He
He's
He
got
gets
it.
up. He gets
Yeah,
up.
he gets up.
Okay,
He
okay,
jumps.
gets
He
up.
jumps.
Guys
He
got
jumps.
We had a Chinese friend in high school. Well, we still do have the friend Min.
Yes,
He's
yes.
got a 39-inch vertical. Well, he used to. But
Definitely
I don't
not
think he
anymore.
does anymore.
Definitely not
I
anymore.
still have faith
Not in your
him.
30s.
So George Hill probably isn't going to have another 9 for 12 game. That was one of his best playoff performances in his entire career, including that halftime buzzer beater. This game, Game 3, it was looking really promising. I thought the first half was a back and forth battle with a lot of good signs, a lot of bad signs. A lot of fans are pointing to officiating. I don't think officiating is the reason we lost the game. Although there were aspects, the judgment aspect of calls where the Semi-Ojeleye ripped the ball and they call it a block on the charge of the Giannis, and then the opposite side of the court where Giannis is in the charge circle on Semi, and then the Tatum blocking Giannis. Those judgment type of calls, you usually would hope or expect those to waver towards the home team. When you're in Milwaukee, those same types of calls you would expect to be whistled towards Milwaukee. So you kind of hope and cross your fingers that it'll go to Boston. Obviously, it didn't. The only problem I had overall, because that's all hearsay, I think that those even out overall. There was some calls that were a little silly on the Celtics end of the
Jaylen Brown
court
just
as well.
standing there.
So that was the one issue I had.
Budenholzer yelling at the refs.
I think that Jaylen has been the best Celtic in this series. Al was starting off with a strong case from game 1 and the first half of game 2, but he's really tailed off. And like I've said, with Giannis kind of figuring him out, the refs letting him be a little bit more physical and let the opponents not be as physical with him. They've been a lot more loose with the whistle in games 2 and 3 than they were in game 1. The precedent did not continue throughout. I thought that Jaylen's defense from game 1 throughout and his ability to hit shots, regardless of what the flow of the offense was, has been really, really consistent. I think it's really important for this team to make sure that he's at a high minutes total. And I thought that it really, really hurt. I think that the Celtics are 7-3 or 8-3 in the last 2 playoffs when Jaylen plays more than 35 minutes. So I think it's important that he really emphasizes playing time on the court. And when that fourth quarter started, after we really had a dip at the end of the third, they brought it to, I think, a 11 or a 12-point lead to enter the fourth quarter. We started off, and we had good energy to start off the fourth. The Celtics brought it, I think, just under 10. I think it was a 9-point lead, and that's when the Jaylen foul happened, where it wasn't even a foul. And then Budenholzer was in the referee's ear yelling at him to call the foul. He called the foul very late. That was Jaylen's 5th foul. Sits him down at the bench from 10 minutes to 3 minutes. And the team never really had the invigoration or the energy to make a full front comeback after that. And I thought that you could really pigeonhole that on the Jaylen's absence. And I think that him being able to play late in the game, because his defensive energy was so important for this team. So I would say that call was the one call that I thought would be you could throw your up in arms with, but everything else is kind of, it balances out.
I mean, the refs consistently keep making themselves a part of the story, unfortunately, because they're consistently not good. And it's not like I'm saying there's a conspiracy, but
Not by me.
it looks awful.
It's been a complaint across the
It's
whole
bad
league.
for the league, and it makes it less.
I mean, that
entertaining.
one call is terrible.
Which call? The one on Semi?
No, the one on
on
Jaylen.
Jaylen Brown.
That was terrible.
And because
but-
Budenholzer is screaming at him, they blow the whistle?
Yeah, no,
that's the only
it's not
reason that
happening.
guy blew
That's
that
not
whistle.
happening. That's definitely the only
That's
reason.
not happening.
That was
If
a terrible
Budenholzer
whistle,
is,
but I don't think there's any sort of conspiracy
no,
going
absolutely
on.
not. There's not. But if
But I'm
Budenholzer's
saying, though, that they've been bad. It's been bad.
They're the best referees in the world.
yes, they are. If Budenholzer
not
was,
saying much.
Budenholzer was quiet, is that whistle blown?
Well, I think that it is
it's
in
not.
the
The
head,
answer's
but
not.
I don't
You
think
shouldn't
that
be
they're actually.
responsive
Answer's
to a
not.
coach
The
yelling.
answer is it isn't.
Well, I've done a lot of refereeing. I'm
Okay.
not going to stand on that. I've done a lot of refereeing. I've
No,
been a
I
board
mean,
official.
it's
for
a
2
it's a
years.
hard job.
that's
It's
I
a
why
hard
know
job.
apologize
how
to them.
difficult this
Yeah,
is.
it's
a hard job.
It's definitely tough.
Anyway, but I just don't agree with that anyway.
What I
But,
wanted to
you know,
touch
what
on
you
the
said is that it
series-
was a well-played first half. I mean, they had an 82-53 run. Milwaukee did.
Yeah.
It started in the second quarter
Yep.
and went all the way. It was an 82-53 run. You saw that happen again. So I really think that they decisively beat the Celtics in that game. I don't think it was a close game. I think that Milwaukee took control and rolled them out. And I'll go back. I'll go back and forth this a little bit because I got a bunch of stuff. But I'll go back to Red Auerbach and I'll stick with it. And you saw it in game 1 and you've seen it in game 2 and 3. And what Red Auerbach says, I want instigators. I don't want retaliators. You'll see it in game 1. They were the instigators in game 1. They came and they played with force. In games 2 and 3, the instigator was Giannis. Giannis was the instigator. And that changed it. They've got to come out. That's why I'd like to see Marcus. I'd like to see, if you can only play 5 minutes at a time, I'd like to see him start that game
probably what
tonight.
it's
Because I'm looking for that instigation where they come out there and they exert their force. And I'm questioning the grit of a couple of these guys, including Jaylen Brown, but also including Tatum, where they don't have that intestinal grit to come out and fight like they did in that first game. Because I don't know why they slipped so much. Look what we said after that first game. We said, man, they're world championship caliber after that first
Talk
game.
about
on the road.
waffling. We started off, a few of us picked the Bucks, I think, and then after that first, just me, yeah. But after game one, what happened? They went out there, they out-rebounded the Bucks. They had a great third quarter, which has been consistently one of the Celtics' worst issues. Is they come out of halftime stagnant, and then they just get run down, and they cannot play from behind. This team never plays well from behind.
Statistically, everything's pretty even across the board. What have you seen from the series?
Third quarter's been ugly.
I just feel like game 1 and game 2 were completely flip-flopped. Celtics were all over the Bucks game 1. Everyone's plus minus was completely negative on the Bucks except for like Brook Lopez. And then in game 2, the Celtics were completely down. They really couldn't keep up. Game 3, the first half, the Celtics were all over the boards, shooting well. Jaylen Brown was insanely aggressive I was loving watching him. And then second
Loves
half,
dunking on Giannis.
just towards the end, it just kind of fell apart.
I think the Bucks are getting the right amount of spacing too, and that's part of their game is the run and gun, get the right amount of spacing, and get the open three-pointers. And the Celtics, in the game one, they were playing such good defense, and they were cutting out that spacing. They were helping on Giannis in the post so that he wasn't hitting the open guy, and that sort of just dissolved.
I'm seeing some things
I
that are
feel
very
like
obvious.
Budenholzer made
Yes,
the right
no, we-
adjustment.
exactly. That's
Their
exactly.
defense is so obvious when they're doing
Milwaukee's-
3 guys across and Giannis is standing here. Giannis
Yeah.
could just go at him and make an easy
They
pass
have
over
so
all of
many
them.
And
shooters.
there's a story with that too, but I think it's what I would say is Milwaukee's winning this game on defense. Defensively, they're loading up and locking down. They're locking down. I was surprised to hear that Lopez is considered one of the best rim protectors in the league. But you're seeing it. They can't look at Hayward and Irving, and when they're getting in there, they cannot get to the rim. They're locking down the front of that rim, and they're loading up on Kyrie and Hayward. I think they both look very bad. It's the first time I've seen after that first game by Kyrie. It's the first time I've seen him handled by another team, and he is in a position where they're actually shutting him down. Look at what's happening in the paint. They're getting into the paint. They're not finishing in the paint. They're getting in there and saying, "Uh-oh, I got to find something else." And what Brad is saying that we can't be relying on the first drive into the paint for finding stuff. We're going to have to make multiple forays into the paint to find something. We're going to have to go in there, get it to somebody else, and then from the other side of the court come in again, because that first time in, with Giannis patrolling everything, and Lopez protecting the rim, we're not getting him. Look, we're not finishing. We're not even come close to finishing.
It's been true all year when we do get down and when
Not
when
like
the
this.
players
Not with Kyrie like
when
this.
the players start to panic,
Kyrie shut down.
that's when players like Marcus
2 games in a
Morris
row they got.
and Kyrie and Tatum they recess into their bad habits and they take worse shots early in the shot clock, and they do first drive. That's their only option, and they're not waiting for the patient offense to develop. They're not making the extra pass, and that's how they're developing into it.
Kyrie. I think he's been forced to take the worst shots I've seen him take.
Well,
He's also throwing the
off-balance shots.
Kyrie Irving is. You think he's playing horrible when his shots don't fall just because that's how it
No,
looks.
no,
His
I'm
style
seeing
of
shots that are pressured in a different way than
He's
they've
always
been pressured.
pressured. I think he's
they
always
are. I
pressured.
think
Always
they're pressured
fading
differently.
away,
I think he's
pressured,
always
but
pressured.
he usually hits.
right.
And-
Yeah,
and
that's
Well,
exactly it.
and I
some of the
think
shots, he's got more pressure on him than I've seen at any time.
I think what you
defensively.
hate to see with Kyrie, and we're seeing it a lot now when they are under the gun, is he's taking a lot of contested, long 2-point attempts with 10 or more seconds still on
going for
on
the home run.
shot clock.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone hates to see, including the other players on the floor. You can see their body language when he
absolutely.
takes terrible shots. It's like, well, that's not what we do when
And I
we
agree
win.
with that.
That's not the.
They haven't learned.
That's
They
not
haven't
the
learned.
recipe
That
for
team
success.
has not learned how when they load up on Kyrie that they've got to cut and move much better off the ball. They're not, you're not seeing high cuts. So when Kyrie's played, there's got to be more action happening off the board. There's not.
Jalen's moving.
Hey,
Jalen's
Mike,
ready.
let
Well,
me
I didn't
ask you
think
something.
Jalen played well down. I know he got the 5th foul. I thought he hit his shots very purely, but then I thought he missed shots down when they really could have used them too.
I thought that he was.
I
great.
think he has played well.
I think
I think
that
he has played
you're
well.
saying how Gordon really had his aggressiveness and how they've been collapsing on him has really
I don't
been
think
hurting
Gordon's
the Celtics.
played well at all.
Well, he played great in game one.
Game one, obviously, game one was a perfect game, but I mean games 2 and 3.
He's a pretty strong microcosm for the Celtics season's inconsistency of the season as well.
All of a sudden, he can't finish again.
Well, it's not him not being able to finish. It's him not being aggressive. It's him not attempting to finish.
He's
it's him
trying
not,
to-
It's
he's
him not
getting in there,
taking
and then he's
shots.
shut down.
No, he's just not taking the shots. You always talk about if the defense
know.
if the defense
I
knows
agree.
he's going to pass,
I agree.
then it's going to be a lot easier to defend him. If the defense doesn't know what he's going to do, or they're expecting him to shoot, then a lot is going to open up for Gordon
I
Hayward.
think he's trying, Shay.
in the playoff games, or including this regular season, where he attempts more than 10 field goals, we're 10-3. The Boston Celtics play well when he is really imprinting himself on the game, especially when he's attacking the paint. That area from 17 feet to 6 feet is an area that Gordon Hayward has had wide open because of the way that the Milwaukee
You
Bucks
don't
are playing
think it's
defense.
Milwaukee's defense in that paint that's doing it. I think it is.
No, but the shots are still there. Gordon in
I
the
don't
past
think
few
I think
games,
they're
he wasn't
pressure
taking
shots,
them.
Shay.
They
I
weren't
think they're
taking
pressure
them.
shots. I think they're shut down in the way they haven't been before. That's what I'm seeing.
Marcus Smart's going to play tonight, just in.
Good.
I think that
Start him.
I think that it's really interesting, and I think you need to give a ton of credit to Bud, a coach who historically
Yes.
has made no
Yes.
adjustments. You just spoke on that. He has made some fantastic adjustments. And in game one, where we were just completely ignoring the offensive glass because we were willing to exchange that and our ability to hopefully make shots for the ability
shot
to
real well.
for the ability to just limit them in transition. We were getting back early. We were sagging off. We were sending people back so we could make a wall to stop Giannis. And what they're doing now is they're doing the same thing. They're sending 2 shooters back as soon as the ball releases off our hands. Whether it's Brook or Giannis, whoever the big is, they stay around the rim for rebounds. But they send Mirotic. They send George Hill. They're sending shooters to the corner immediately to get behind that Celtics wall so that when that wall is there, Giannis can use whatever monochrome of passing ability he has to get higher level shots than they were getting earlier. They're getting more open looks because of the adjustments that Budenholzer has been putting in, and they've been shooting fantastic. They've been shooting lights out. These past few games, the Milwaukee Bucks have not been missing.
Hill
You
knocked
see
them. They have
Marcus
4
Smart
guys.
just boxing out Brook Lopez
Oh,
tonight.
absolutely.
I would've
Shay, I
loved
don't
that.
How
think
many
it's-
is
I
gonna
don't
be
think
3 or 5
on that
charges?
side of the floor, I don't think it's the same wall anymore. I don't think it's not the same
Well,
wall.
you got to
It's not the
understand.
same wall as the first game.
You got to understand it's because the wall is being forced to disperse because of the way that
Well, they
the
shouldn't
Milwaukee's
be.
adjusting.
They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. They should just
No,
leave the shooters open.
Yes, because their priority is going to be Giannis. Giannis scored all 32 of his points, whatever. He called them every point in the restricted area. Unless I'm wrong about a foul down the other end of the court.
They're not.
He scored every point in the restricted area. The
Or
only
three-pointers.
one-
Three-pointers
so
are restricted
your
area.
priority is going to be first. I know you've got to be thinking three-point shooters, and I would be thinking, well, let's do Middleton, but you've got to shut him down first.
Also, what-
and to Giannis's credit, let me just say
Yeah,
this:
yeah.
What Giannis is doing that's phenomenal is that he's coming in and he is finding a way to split defenders when there's no room. I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah,
He's
zero
getting in,
step
he's
is great.
splitting guys. He's actually
Gyro
shoulder to shoulder with the guys that he's splitting, and he's getting in there. It was Marcus Johnson. Is he the guy, the Hall of Famer from Milwaukee? That's the color in.
Yes.
I think that's who it is. The one he relates Giannis to is Connie Hawkins, and I hadn't thought about that before.
You like
And there's
Connie
there's really some similarities there with those unbelievable steps and long arms. That guy is getting the seams between that wall. We've got to stop him there.
Also, I don't
and
what
make
is-
him shoot the shots. I
what's-
don't care if Mirotic.
Yeah,
let
what
him
is
shoot.
what is
Let
Al
Lopez
Horford
shoot.
and Marcus Morris doing, closing out strong on Giannis at the 3-point line?
I mean, he has shown that
Who
he can
cares?
hit the 3,
gotta
but
let
you
him shoot.
still
You gotta
have
let
to
him
let him
shoot.
shoot.
Yeah,
they
you
they
do.
got away from the defensive game plan in Game 1 completely because
I
Horford
think-
just gets smoked on that first step.
And-
Giannis's first step is almost like 8 feet.
At
you know?
least, at least past the free throw line.
All of that.
Because
And
Horford
that goes
is
back
way
to
too
what
slow
Red's saying.
laterally to
They're
do
no longer
that.
the instigators out there. What you're saying there, Shay, is what I'm hearing is that the farther out, you've got to come out and get Giannis, because if he starts his penetration from anywhere near the foul line, he's getting all the way to the rim.
Yeah.
If he's getting started his penetration from 2 feet back of the foul line, he's getting to the restricted area.
Well,
if he starts his penetration from the top
His
of the key,
fake
you
left
may
go right
control
is
him.
getting past anybody.
What?
His fake left go right is
I
getting
know,
past
but if
anybody
you
in the
got
league.
that in that first game, they did it.
My
His
biggest
travels aren't gonna
question
get called.
is, where's Jason Tatum?
Oh, he's nowhere.
Yeah.
He's nowhere to be found.
What's the deal? This guy's supposed to be the Boston
Yeah, I
great.
know.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
His
And-
isolation has been the worst, statistically the worst isolation in the entire playoffs.
Yeah, he had an okay game in Game 3. Game 3, he played
Step
okay.
up.
He shoots 8 for
Step up,
15 from the
JT.
3 against Indiana, and now he's lost confidence in his three-point shooting. And you see him when he's getting when he's on the catch, he's got a shot. He ball fakes, he up fakes when he's got a shot, and then he penetrates into a contested mid-range shot when he had the
bad.
3.
It's bad.
This is the
He should
kid
be
who
hitting
was
3.
who was contesting LeBron James last year, and now
Yeah,
he's just nowhere to be
That's
found.
another thing where I question his grit.
Yeah, is he on a high horse? Does he think he's too good still?
I
Like, what's
don't
going
know. I don't know. But I think
not happy to see
I
it.
think you could see that turn around. I mean, he
wanna see
played
it turn
awful
around.
well not too many games ago, and
Maybe he needs Marcus Smart.
Yes, well, I think the whole
good
team
luck,
needs
John.
Marcus Smart in
think
terms
it-
of having that energy infusion where that where you're talking about. They need to really be the enforcer. They
Yep,
need to be the
I
one
think so.
that's attacking and biting first, and not the team that's responding. And I think that Marcus does have that effect on the other players on the team. I think specifically Kyrie, and lesser so Jason
Oh,
Tatum.
very
but-
important point on Kyrie.
so
Kyrie
just-
plays much better with Smart.
That's what
It
I'm saying,
Really,
yeah.
It really helps Kyrie because Smart's able to handle in a
Yeah.
way that puts Kyrie in a different situation. And Kyrie played his best basketball with Smart at the point.
I
Because
think
he boosts the confidence of the other players, including Kyrie, because he's a playmaker.
And
They
Kyrie's got
trust
confidence
the
in Marcus
ball
Smart.
in
That's enough for
Smart's
me.
hands.
that is a big issue that this team has had in the past 2 games. In Game 1, it wasn't.
Where's Rozier? You talked about that,
oh,
too.
he's irrelevant.
Well,
in game
he shouldn't be.
In
He
Game
should
1,
not
it
be
wasn't as
irrelevant.
big of an issue because we were making such a strong amount of our attempts. But in Games 2 and 3, where the shot making was really, really lacking and faltering, and people were depending more on isolation, it really, really came to the forefront, the lack of passers that were really on the team. Gordon Hayward was our best passer that we had in those teams, and you could tell, obviously, Marcus Smart's biggest hole is his defense not being there, but he's probably the Celtics' best passer when he's on the team, when he's playing.
Yes,
and
fundamentally
just
solid
having
passer.
one more player that knows what the right pass is, has the ability to make the
On
right
time,
pass, and is able to make the pass.
Yes. His rhythm is good. His
yes,
flow
exactly.
is really,
That's
really
gonna,
good.
That's going to help the team get the right shots, help Tatum be able to be more confident to take that shot immediately rather than be concerned about a closeout and dribbling into a 18-foot jump shot instead.
It also will
I
help.
think that he'll help with the balance of the roster a
Well, it'll
lot.
help. They were outscored 42-16 by the bench
Yes.
in the last game. It'll
Terrible.
help to move, whether
George
it's
Hill's not
Morris,
gonna shoot 9 for 12
whether it's
again, ever.
Morris or Brown or whatever it is, Morris or Brown, move them to the bench. You're going to get some firepower off the bench,
Right.
which is going to be
how
helpful.
hilarious was it that Bledsoe was so bad that when he got in foul trouble, it was great for the Bucks? How beneficial
He
were
made
the
a
Bucks
couple key hoops.
getting? No, he made 2 layups.
I know, but they were
were-
key layups.
So I was listening to the low post the other day,
Kyrie
and
bad on one of them.
they had a former Bucks writer, I forget what her name was, but she was
Malika
saying,
Andrews.
Okay, yeah, Malika Andrews. There you go.
Shay knows all.
So she was saying that she used to actually interview Bledsoe, and he would talk about how he gets like butterflies in big games. He like actually since middle school, he actually
game
like
tonight.
he feels the pressure, and he has to like do laps around the gym and stuff to try and like get himself not so psyched up, but he like
So
they're happy
the
with how they're
moment
playing
freaks
right
him
now.
out.
He was 4 for 15. He was a negative
Yes,
9
yes.
in a 7-point win. Like, we need to keep him in the game. Let's keep Bledsoe
Yeah.
out of foul
And
trouble.
it's so funny because he's like one of the trash talkers on the Bucks, and it's like he just disappears.
Closing thoughts for the rest of the series tonight. Who wins tonight? Who wins the
Again,
series?
I have no
You're waffling.
idea. I have no idea. So
waffling.
I'll make another guess this week. I'm not abandoning the Celtics on any. I'm saying Marcus Smart's in that starting lineup. We're going to be instigators, and we're going to do what we did in the first game tonight. Tonight's the game because if you go down 3-1, it's like
Celtics win
it's
tonight.
like do or
Celtics
die.
win
They're
tonight.
gonna win tonight.
2 weeks ago, I said Bucks in 6,
Yes.
and then they had a great game 1.
Yes.
So I'm going back to Bucks in 6.
Wow, less than 6.
I've had Celtics in 6 since the get-go,
Yeah.
and I think they just come through, destroy. They win on the road, and they're going to win back at
I,
home.
Let's go.
I hope that my pick
Very
has a
exciting.
reverse effect.
As long as Marcus Smart comes in, stays healthy,
He's
and
not gonna
if
play very
Brogdon
much.
can
He's
stay
gonna-
out of the whole mix,
he's gonna play
that
in
would
short
just be a
spurts.
blessing.
I'm looking for the
They
reverse
need to hope-
jinx.
They need to hope that Brogdon
go.
stays out to
Pretty
hopefully
hot on the
Yeah,
spin
because
so
he'll
far.
help Bledsoe a lot.
All right, a
too.
couple new coaches. This will be a shorter topic. The coaching search is done for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Is it
Even though
official?
It's not official.
Oh, yeah.
But he had a birthday and he had a Lakers cake at his birthday. It's very obvious what's going to happen. And then the one that is official is Monty Williams got hired to coach the Phoenix Suns. Monty Williams has already discussed how they're going to be looking to employ new strategies offensively with DeAndre Ayton, make him more of a player like Joel Embiid rather than a player like a Clint Capella type, which I think is exciting. They have their mindset on grabbing a point guard in draft or free agency to really pair alongside Booker, so Booker can hopefully tier some of his mindset on the defensive end of the basketball. I think that Monty Williams is a good hire for him, for the Suns as well. I think that there's obviously much less pressure and nearly just as much positive to draw from them. Obviously, the owner, Sarver, is the huge black hole over that job, but I think that he'll be able to succeed there even if they don't make the playoffs. And on the other side, Ty Lue basically gets this job off of the Lakers' exceptionalism and his familiarity with LeBron. But honestly, because of those two things alone, I don't think that he was the miserable candidate for this job. I've never been high on his coaching chops overall, but I don't think it's a terrible hire. Hopefully he can motivate LeBron and the young players together for some type of familiarity.
Tyronn
It
Lue
could
as
be
their
really
coach,
interesting. So
it's just like allowing LeBron to be the player coach.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you're not allowed to have player coaches, but putting Lue in that position is essentially like saying we're letting LeBron be the player coach.
who's the better hire?
The better hire
That's
is
a
Monty
great
Williams.
question.
And what I question right away is, Monty Williams went to the Suns instead of the Lakers?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Does that tell you where the Lakers are right now? That you would actually choose the Suns over LeBron and
Well,
the
Monty
Lakers?
wants a
if you want-
voice.
if
You don't want
Monty
to. Yeah, you don't want
Williams-
to coach LeBron. LeBron coaches you.
Well, nobody wants to coach him. Nobody wants to play with him.
Yeah.
That wasn't a very-
LeBron's not only a smarter basketball mind than Monty Williams, he's also not going to allow Monty Williams to
But it
employ
did happen in Miami.
his strategy.
In Miami, what happened is Pat Riley went to LeBron and said, don't you think for a second that I'm going to do anything with Spoelstra. Spoelstra's there as your coach. You play for him. And that's not going to happen with Pelinka or whoever it is, whoever's in charge with the Lakers. They're going to let LeBron do whatever he wants like he was in Cleveland. And maybe that's the way it has to be. But, you know,
Better and higher.
Both pretty terrible.
Yeah, isn't it?
I saw Monty Williams losing record all time, 173 to 221 losses.
Yeah. Well, he was the coach of the Pelicans,
Pelicans,
for a while.
right?
They were really bad.
2 winning seasons with them.
Yeah.
Whatever. I guess they didn't have a great roster, but at the same time, he's not an outstanding coach by any means. I think Tyronn Lue, it works because LeBron, but I think he's a terrible coach as
how's
well.
he going to respond to pressure after what he went through in Cleveland? I questioned in L.A.
He seems so quirky out there on
And then
that
with
sideline.
Phoenix, just to be quick about it, it's Booker's 5th coach in 5 years. This is his 5th year in the league. It's his 5th coach. There's something wrong there that goes as deep as Sabra you want to go with Sabra. That team, that's an embarrassment. That
I hope for
Phoenix
Monty
team.
Williams' narrative, something pans out here. He's got this
They got
good
a lot
young
of promise,
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
A lot of promise here.
You don't play. It's just like you don't play for Dolan and the Knicks. You don't play for Sabra. You don't coach for Sabra. You don't.
Yeah, it seems like it's not
Spin
going
it
to go
away.
well.
They're going to need an intervention on that franchise.
Dismal.
The Blazers Nuggets, maybe the
Hot on the
most
wheel.
exciting. Yeah, you're doing very well. Maybe the most exciting series to date in the
Awesome
conference semifinals. It's now tied up 2-2. Both teams have stole a game on the away opponent's court. Nikola Jokic has been absolutely phenomenal. In the Portland series, he's averaging 52, 57, and 84 shooting splits, averaging 27, 13, and 9.5 with 3 stocks combined. So he's been absolutely ludicrous, living up to his top 5 likely MVP voting candidacy. On the other side of the ball, Dame has been more quiet than he was in the first round, but still strong overall. We've seen really the arrival of CJ McCollum overall being a much more dependable sidekick than he was initially. He had 41 points in that really awe-striking, huge game, the 4 overtime game, where multiple players were playing 50 minutes. Jokic played 65 minutes.
He was dead on his feet.
CJ McCollum actually played 60 minutes himself. Gary Harris fouled out. You could tell everyone was running on fumes. Rodney Hood ended up being the hero of the game. Who would have thunk it?
Legitimately.
And then
He's been there.
within 40
This
hours
series.
after the finish of that game, 40 hours later, for the Denver Nuggets to come back and win Game 4, I think that was a testament to the growth that they've shown in this postseason, just from where they were Game 1 against the Spurs to where they are now. Just as I said for the other ones, I think that this one's probably going 7. Everything that we've had in terms of a data point so far is really pointing that way. I'm excited to watch more Jokic play, and I think that it's really hinged on the performance of Murray in terms of how successful Denver is and whether or not they get a win. Last night, he was really phenomenal and got 34 and was really good, clutch late on the free throw line. I think he's going to have a couple games where he's maybe not there, and those will be the games that they lose, but he'll show up, and I think they'll get the series. So what are you thinking overall? Do you think that the Nuggets can close it out? What are we thinking?
I think a lot of what we saw in yesterday's game, and I won't mention much about the officiating. I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the fact that Denver was sort of imposing their will, and they got a lot of Portland's key defensive players in foul trouble. And for a lot of the second half, they were running Lillard, McCollum, and Seth Curry.
Played great.
Who played great? Seth Curry played great, but I think Denver can really capitalize on that kind of a small lineup. And because I really don't think they can guard the likes of Murray, Barton, and Gary Harris.
No.
I think you're going to find one of those players with a high percentage shot while those 3 guards are all on the floor for Portland. And that was a big swing in momentum for Portland. For Denver. Portland also missed a lot of clutch free throws. We've never seen Lillard miss free throws like that in the clutch.
It was unusual.
Yeah,
And he's when it's Dame time, he also needs to hit his free throws. Because they weren't trying to hawk up 3-pointers to get back in that game late. They were trying to get him on the line, and that really hurt them. But Denver is really impressive to me. Jokic going 65 minutes, and then the next game going 39 minutes.
Yeah, he's been crazy.
And just some of the drives that he has, it's just such fluid motion on his drives, and like with the offhand just fending off the defender, and sort of the running jump, and
He sees everything.
Right.
God, he's so smart. He even knows how to foul well.
Yes.
Like the refs don't even catch when he's like holding down the guy going for the defensive rebound, and it just goes back up with his right hand. Like they're just a really impressive team, and Murray has really stepped up as a phenomenal second player or second wing for that team.
It's just my favorite series. I've watched every. It's
fun to watch.
There's been very little separation from the opening tip in the first game to the end. It's when
Close.
The ebb and flow back and forth is real quick, so they'll be up by 10, but then the other team gets a run right away and catches right up. I love the competitive edge in this series is everything you want to see. You're seeing 50-50 balls. There was one that rolled out from the three-point line towards the other foul line. As that ball was rolling, 6 guys hit the floor for the 50-50 ball. It's just, you're so excited watching it. I think Cantor is inspirational to me. He's playing hurt, and everything that happened from the Knicks, where they actually, he's a good player, and he's seen his opportunity here. He's stepped up real good with it.
It's almost like a Willis Reed type story.
It's amazing what he's doing out there. I think Game 4, just the quality of play that you're seeing in some, with 2:45 left in that game, they hit 8 straight shots, 4 by each team, and they were tough shots. It was Lillard, it was Aminu, it was Hood, it was Will the Thrill, and it was Jamal, and it was Harris. 8 straight shots, difficult, back and forth with 2:5. It's just great basketball. I'm enjoying that series to the max.
And it's 2 full teams, you know? It's not just a few guys. It's like both of these teams are employing their entire rosters almost, or their entire rotations at least, to make an impact on games. And it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, speaking of full teams, I mean, the Blazers are without Nurkic, and I think if he was in, this wouldn't be as close of a series by any means.
Absolutely.
I think if the Blazers had him, this would be probably 6 games. 5s would be pushing it. But I'm still taking the Blazers to win it. I think they're beating these Nuggets. They're, as much as they posted a bad game, McCollum is as hot as they get right now. And we thought Damian Lillard was the hottest guy in the NBA right now. McCollum is just as hot. Damian Lillard gets hot, they're winning. There's no way you're stopping both of that shooting power.
It's really impressive how they're complementing each other.
Exactly. Just like Shea said before, if Jamal Murray doesn't put up those 30-point games or those awesome games, can you really rely on Gary Harris and?
Well, Millsap's had a good series too.
Millsap's been hot,
and he is.
But Will the
he's
Thrill
sort
hit
of
big shots.
Millsap creates a sort of a defensive conundrum for the Blazers too. I don't think they really have anybody that can guard him.
They
when
don't
he's
have anyone
on,
to guard Jokic.
but-
Never mind him. I think that Jokic is good enough to carry them, even if Murray doesn't show up. I think when Murray shows up, I think you can almost like guarantee a win for the Nuggets. But I think when he doesn't show up, Jokic has been the 3rd best player in the playoffs so far. I think he's been the most exciting. I think. I mean, his post game, he has a rivalry with the microphones. He's broken the microphone. He's lost the microphone. He's made jokes. He's hilarious. He's incredible.
I think he was a little worn out in that quadruple overtime
No,
game.
definitely. But
He missed a free
65
throw.
minutes. He didn't score, but
he missed a free
he
throw
only
in that
scored
game,
one
too.
hoop from halfway through the
Right,
fourth quarter through the fourth. He couldn't. I mean, he just was too tired. And he hit one foul. He missed a foul shot.
I think they
in
almost,
that.
a clutch key
Yes.
free throw that he missed. I think they needed
was
to
for the
give
game.
him a little bit of a breather there. But I mean, it's Mike Malone doesn't trust
Well,
taking
they really
him off the
can't.
court.
No, they
don't
need
play
him
well
so
without him.
bad. They
That's
need
how
him to play.
valuable he is. Let me say this about Jokic, and you don't see enough of Denver Mile High where they are, and I haven't really plugged him in like you guys, and I've actually talked about him being too slow and not being. I'm on him now. I think he's great. I think he is the best passer in the league. I think he's singularly the best passer in the league.
sure.
And when you look at, like, Westbrook leads the league in assists, but they're athletic plays that he turns into an assist. This guy, it's the pass. The pass is beautiful. The pass is perfect. He's getting assists off perfect passes and perfect reads. And
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by his passing. I think he's the best passer.
I don't
in the
think
league.
He has
That's crazy to
amazing
say.
vision. Amazing vision and execution with the pass. He had like a no-look, through the legs, one-hand pass, bounce pass, through the defender's legs. Yeah, and it was like one of the best passes of the entire year. And I'm just like, you don't
he's
usually
fun to
see
watch. It's a
guards
fun
make
series.
those plays.
It's hilarious. It looks so effortless, but it's just the most beautiful thing. Every time he has the ball, he's just going to make some play that makes you
Yeah,
drop
it
your
is.
jaw
It's a fun
at least a
player
little
to
bit.
watch.
I got Denver in 7.
I'm still going. Again, I have no idea. I mean, but I'll take the home court, and I'll go with Denver on the home court again. I just think Mile High is going to be a tough place to
Remember I
go.
said last week I wanted to pick the Blazers, but I
Yes.
just didn't know if they had enough and
Right.
Cantor with anybody. I'm going with the Blazers.
I'm rooting
going
for
to
them. I'm
Blazers.
rooting- I'm
next
rooting
up.
for
Split down the
Blazers.
middle. All right, one more spin. Let's see if you can get one of the other ones. If we don't get one of them, we'll
How
just
crazy is it that
know, I'm
Rodney
doing
Hood and
pretty
George
good.
Hill?
Big three trivia. Let's see what you
Hey,
got.
we
Run
don't
it
go
out.
2 weeks without getting it.
How crazy
I have
is
not missed a wheel.
No, you haven't missed. You're very
Rodney
good.
Hood and George Hill have both had such impacts after last year playing with
Yes,
LeBron.
I was thinking that
and
too.
just-
I was
it's
thinking that.
Well,
wild.
they were terrible last year, and they've played good this year.
Oh,
Got a
The
shout out.
environment.
Got
The
a shout out
environment was
Mason
terrible.
Plumlee as well. Playing
Mason
a hell of a
Plumlee.
series.
He was
played-
stinky in the first couple
The
games.
last
Yeah, he's
Plumlee
all right.
left.
I like Mason Plumlee.
All right, big three. Name the big three teams that this season led the league in team three-point field goal percentage.
Percentage?
Yes.
I know number one.
You do? I'm going to say Celtics. I think that was.
No.
No. Okay. I don't know.
Number one,
In three-point team field goal percentage.
I'll go with the Rockets.
No.
Spurs.
Spurs were number one,
Golden
39.2%. Golden State's number three, 38.5%.
Spurs were last in attempts.
Who's two? We're not doing that.
We're looking for the second.
Okay, we're going around.
Yeah.
I didn't know the rules.
Well, it's not.
First to get 2 out of 3. Sorry.
Oh, okay, wow. So you're up again?
No,
you're up, you're
I'm
up.
done. I mean, there's teams to pick, but I don't know who they are.
This would be a tough number 2 to get.
Who did he say?
Who did you say?
He's just not taking
He
team.
said Golden State, right?
Yeah. So we got Spurs and Golden State.
Okay.
1 and 3.
I'll go with the Trailblazers.
No, that's
Nuggets.
a good guess though.
Oh, I thought for sure.
Nuggets were 6.
6. They should have been higher than that. Hint.
Hint: one of their key players got traded around the trade deadline.
Key
this
player
year.
got traded.
Philly. I don't
They're
No.
a playoff team. Did they trade their key player to Philly?
know.
Yes.
Oh, so wow.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's a really good hint.
Oh my God.
He served it to you on a plate,
Clippers.
Jeremy.
Next question.
Clippers.
Next question.
All right.
I can't believe they're. Wow.
All right. League leaders in turnovers per game this season.
Individuals?
We'll start with you. Individual league leaders.
I'm gonna guess my New York Knicks.
No, player. Looking for player.
individual
Yeah, sorry.
turnovers.
I agree. Nick.
You would have been right
Every
though.
individual player.
All 3 of these players averaged 4 turnovers or more.
I'll go with Harden.
Yes, Harden was number 1. He had 5 turnovers per game.
Trey Young.
No, he was 4th. That's such a good guess, though.
Joel Embiid.
No, he was 6th. These are very good guesses.
They're all good turnover.
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook was number 2. You win this one. 4.5
Who was the third?
That
turnovers
was
a
easy
game.
money. Come on, guys.
Who was third?
Oh, third was Devin Booker, 4.1. That makes sense. He'll only have more with his new coach. Team rebounds per game in the play. Oh no, in the regular season. Team rebounds per game.
Rebounds.
All 3 of these teams were in the playoffs too.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee number 1, 49.7 rebounds per game.
Celtics.
Not even close.
It's a bad
I thought they had a
rebounding.
good year.
Bad
I thought they had a good-
rebounding team.
I thought they had a good year rebounding.
We
No.
did for us. We're still at 15.
I'll go back to the Blazers.
Yes, the Blazers are third, 48.0 rebounds per game.
Pistons.
Pistons, no. They only have 1 rebounder.
We got a couple rebounders.
That's true.
Rockets.
Rockets, no, they're not even close.
That was actually my guess. Thanks.
Make me look bad. Make me feel bad.
Hint, their leading rebounder is a bearded beast,
Bearded Beast. Did you guess Portland?
and he is not from the U.S.
Bearded Beast, not from the U.S.
Bearded Beast.
Mike, you from here?
Steven Adams is their best rebounder.
wow.
Oklahoma City had
Okay, that was
48
sad.
rebounds a
Let's
game.
close out the show with the Houston Rockets
Damn, how did I
and the Golden State Warriors. Let's see if you can land it. Can you land the spin?
Manual spin.
Okay.
Land the spin.
Yeah, I'm 5 for
Let's
5.
see it.
We're going there anyways, no matter what happens. Give it a good.
Not enough juice. Not enough juice.
Oh, tough one.
All right,
Which
so
one?
the series is 2-1. Rockets finally got their win on their home court. Tonight is going to be played after the Boston Celtics Milwaukee Bucks. Pretty close series overall. The first game, obviously, we talked about last time. Game 2 was more so the Rockets hanging on for their life, but they ended up only losing by a couple. Game 3, James Harden really came through in the other overtime series game we've had in terms of a series for this round. James Harden with 41. Kevin Durant was effervescent with his 46. So it's really exciting across the board. Steph Curry is getting a lot of flack, and then people are continually posting his statistics to support him, but not realizing that his statistics are less than his regular season statistics, which I think is the discussion. It's kind of just like there are players who, when they play in the regular season and then you compare those statistics to the postseason, where it's 100% or more. Like a Bradley Beal, I've done out for like the top 30 players in the league. Bradley Beal is like a 110% player. Like Kawhi Leonard is like an 190% player. Like there are certain players that are really up there. And then there's other players like Steph Curry who traditionally has very good statistics in the postseason. It's just they're not as good as what you expect from him. He's only like an 88% player.
I feel like a lot of players go down in the postseason.
Most players do. It's an anomaly for you to go up. Like LeBron's like a 120% player.
Yeah, Kawhi,
more often than
it's
not,
crazy
right?
smart.
More often than not, the players get worse. The defenses are
get the
harder.
best defense.
Exactly.
I
It
think
makes
Draymond's
sense.
well on
So,
that too.
what are you seeing from this series? Does the one win from the Rockets give you hope that they can really bring it back? After we saw 2 wins from the Warriors, I think most people were really writing off the hope and glimmer and shine that we were hoping the Rockets had in terms of a monicum of a chance against the Warriors. But maybe that's back now that they have won and they have another chance to tie it up tonight. What do you think?
I think we've seen some things with James Harden with that clutch play. I mean, it's always been a knock on him that he doesn't come up big in the big games. Their back was against the wall completely when he made those plays. And on top of the injury that he's got, I don't know how anybody is saying Golden State is downplaying what's happened to his eyes. I mean, how can you downplay what's happening with that guy's eyes? All you got to do is look at him.
Hey,
But
blood in his eyes.
I thought he was really good.
Draymond, back-to-back off
Really-
postseasons where he's bloodied someone's eyes.
Yeah, I guess.
he's
When
a
you
dirty
see it,
player.
though, it didn't look like.
Aggressive.
But I'm saying from Golden State,
He's an
it's
instigator.
negative from Golden State.
Oh,
is I
that's
think
for
Golden
sure.
State, what we saw last year is when Steph was out and KD came and played, they were all down on how he played like he was still in Oklahoma City. Now they are deferring. They're resigned to deferring to Kevin Durant.
I
And
agree.
It's really
different.
changed.
One thought on the Warriors, and then Sloan gets a thought on the Warriors.
Good luck stopping Jimmy Harden, and I don't know. They're all playing good D.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing insane defense. I think it was Austin Rivers who said, if you're not going out there and putting
played great.
every inch of everything you got out there, then you have no chance against these
Yeah,
Warriors.
and Draymond said they have to match the Rockets' intensity from that last game in which the Rockets won. And we haven't seen the Warriors all click.
No.
And we haven't seen Thompson get a high usage rate.
No.
So I think the best is yet to come for the Warriors. I think the Rockets don't stand a chance.
Similar to how you're saying with the
Capella's
Portland.
not doing anything in this series.
He played
by
a
the
good
way.
game 3.
Offensively, he's not doing
Gordon's
anything.
playing really
You
well.
were saying with Portland, they went really small. We're seeing Houston do the same with Tucker at the 5, and then they have 4 guards with Chris Paul, Austin Rivers, Eric Gordon, and James Harden.
PJ Tucker came
a
up
really,
big.
a really peculiar lineup, but it's really worked.
The only
well
teams
against
going
this.
big in this playoffs are the Bucks and the Raptors, really.
Yeah, no, the Bucks.
Everyone else
The
is
Bucks
going
must
small.
Denver
be
likes to
going
go big. They'll put Plumlee and Jokic in there together.
I think it should be
Yeah, I
really
like that.
interesting.
Not much.
I'm hoping for a big Harden game tonight. Hopefully another 40 piece. I'll be down for another overtime game, although I'll probably have to watch the overtime in the morning because
me too.
my oil doesn't burn that late. What do you got for winning tonight and the series overall?
I think Golden State, I think you're going to see Steph step up. I mean, come on. I mean,
would
has any player ever missed 3 layups like that?
That was
down
bad. He
the
was
stretch?
terrible. He was
The dunk
terrible.
was hilarious.
Steph's going to play better, and that's going to turn the series.
So we got
I got
Warriors
Golden
in-
State winning the next 2 games.
next 2 games. 5 Warriors in 5.
Yeah, I got Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6.
I had Warriors in 7 from the get-go.
It's the only one I feel
all
like
7
I
Yes,
got.
I'm rooting for that. 100%. Warriors in 7. That's what we're going to be going with. All right, Sloan, Mike, Jeremy. Hopefully you come back again. Thanks for joining us in my wheelhouse. Till next time.
Can't go back and you can't